Hello, Meoni here, and welcome back to another blog entry on the Final Fantasy XIV Lodestone. This is a series of videos where I usually read to you what's basically put onto these websites, so you can catch up with all the latest news whilst you're on your travels, if you don't really have time to read them yourself. So without further ado, let's look at Can't Read Ma Mahjong Face, which is the newest developer blog entry, which actually came out on the 17th of May, so we're a little behind on this one, but I wanted to relax this weekend, and this wasn't too important. Shadowbringers is on the horizon, and we are so close to the official release. Amid the plethora of new content, Domain Mahjong will also be receiving a few updates of its own. I'd like to introduce a few of the new additions to Domain Mahjong that will be included in these updates. So the first thing to note is that there's going to be character portrait displays. So essentially once you're playing Mahjong, you have the table in front of you, and you also have the NPC faces, but you also have your own player portrait. This technology coincidentally is the same technology, if I remember, because it was talked about during the European Fan Fest, that was used in the Namazu Beast Tribe questline. If you've done that till completion, you might remember a cutscene where essentially there are sort of bars on the screen, different images of Namazu with effects behind them. So that was actually done by rendering each of those in a separate area with essentially a different background behind them. The same technology is being used here, so it's been repurposed so you can actually see your player's face and indeed reactions whilst you're playing Mahjong, which is really quite interesting. They say you've heard of Poker Face, but have you heard of Mahjong Face? It looks like you can even set different emotes or expressions to throw your opponents off, which is really interesting and a new dynamic to that. If you're interested in the Domain Mahjong, I know a few people who have been completely addicted to this, then this is going to be a really cool addition for you. When it comes to the Gold Saucer, it's all about having fun, and what better way but to improve on little aspects like this. So in addition to those faces, there are other options available that will be coming in Shadowbringers for Mahjong, and the first one is the option to cancel calls. You will now have the option to cancel calls such as Pon, Chi or Khan when they appear. Right-clicking anywhere on the screen other than the call button will also cancel. So this is a useful tool for those who are quite indecisive, and obviously having a cancel option is going to save you a few matches when you make a mistake. In addition to this is the ability to reset your rank and rating. They say there'll also be a new feature that resets your rating. If you have one of those slumps where you just can't seem to win, have no fear. After all, you can keep that Orchestron roll inside, right? On the flip side, if your rating is high, be careful as this will completely reset both your rank and rating. And essentially on the Gold Saucer tab that you can bring up on your UI, on the Mahjong tab, you can actually press this big reset rank / rating button. So that's nicely accessible. So a number of adjustments have been made to winning hands. They say they'll be using a lot of Domain Mahjong terms here. If you get confused, you can speak to the Mahjong tutor in the Gold Saucer to learn what these terms mean. And honestly, I would advise that if you're completely unfamiliar with how this Mahjong game works, I would definitely recommend reading up on it in the game. It actually differs quite a lot from conventional ones that I've seen on the internet, so you might even want to refresh yourself if you do know what you're on about. So the first one is Faretta notification. The game will now notify you when you are in Faretta. In this image they provide, we need an 8 of characters tile, which was unfortunately discarded. The two conditions that put you in Faretta are, a tile in your discard pile could be used to complete your hand, and you did not call a tile your opponent discarded when it could have been used to complete your hand. So this situation shown in the image fits the former condition, and so we cannot call Ron due to Faretta. Ron priority, when a player can call Pon, Chi, Ron, etc., and another who could complete a hand. If someone selects Ron, they will be prioritized over the players that could potentially call Pon or Chi. An auto hand completion feature has been included. If there's a winning tile when you're in Rai Chi or Tenpai, you'll be able to automatically complete your hand with Ron / Sumo. They say it's particularly useful when it allows you to complete a hand in Rai Chi. This feature will be turned off after every round, so you'll have to click that back on if you want it. And finally, they say the developer team plans to continue updating Domain Mahjong when they can, so we hope that you'll take a break from adventuring and give it a shot, even after the release of Shadowbringers. So yeah, that's pretty much the blog entry in a nutshell. It's sort of just looking at improvements to Mahjong. This is just one of the small elements of the game that they're quite passionate about. Anything in the Gold Saucer they're quite interested in. It'll be interesting to see what other additions get added to the Gold Saucer in the future. There's definitely something for everyone. I myself am not a massive fan of the Mahjong. It takes way too long for me to get invested in. If I wanted small things on the side, I would easily go and do some chocobo racing or something like that. Hopefully this is interesting to you. Thank you kindly for watching, and I'll see you all next time.